Before being elected Attorney General, he served as the Chief Deputy to then Attorney General Steve Carter. And before that was head of the litigation division. And in that capacity, he supervised about 150 lawyers with litigation and also directing the work of outside counsel. Greg also served as assistant to the former Vice President Dan Quayle in the White House from 1989 to 1991. And he had previously worked for then Senator Quayle in Indiana and in Washington. He has been awarded the highest honor of Indiana, the Sagamore of the Wabash, by former Governor Robert Orr in 1988. Interestingly enough, he also served on the United States delegation to NATO in Brussels, Belgium, and as the Vice President of the Indiana Council of World Affairs. He also led, you might recall this, Airlift Indiana, which was a private relief mission to Bangladesh and also another relief mission to Honduras following the natural disasters in these areas. He is also, although he used to put it high on his resume, an academic, serving as adjunct faculty at IUPUI, Political Science Department. It's our great pleasure to have today Greg Zoeller.
Well, I noticed they put JD up there. Whenever I'm introduced as an academic, I know I'm in trouble. It's almost as bad as a politician, so I don't know which one I prefer to be. A little bit, since we are among academics, I'll confess to my own educational lineage here. I told the president at Purdue that I would no longer say I had computer science education at Purdue. It's called the history of computer science, my degree. But I went to Purdue as an undergrad, and I went to IU Law School out in Bloomington. So if you have a degree from both of those schools, you could go into politics in Indiana. I didn't get the introduction that I usually get, which people that are Hoosiers by birth, anybody that's been down in southern Indiana knows it's a very large German Catholic family, including my cousin Fuzzy Zoeller. So if you follow golf at all, you'll know that I went to law school because I couldn't putt. Let me do just a couple of things. I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of some of the things we're doing so we can touch on a number of subjects, but I will focus primarily on some of the work we're doing dealing with ID theft, security breaches, things that kind of dovetail more closely with your subject matter here today on with the Digital Policy Institute's topics of the day. Let me just, on the news today, I don't know how closely you follow some of the things, but we've been very involved with the problems dealing with mortgage foreclosure, some of the documents that get filed, at least in our courts here in Indiana and 26 other states, may have affidavits that are going to jeopardize some portion of the clear title of homes again. So we're being very careful not to try to jeopardize the housing sector and the economy as a whole. I know it's an information economy, according to your topic here today, but housing is still a major component of the economy, so we're very sensitive to not do things attorneys general are prone to do, which is you get mad and you want to sue somebody, so find me somebody to sue. We're trying to avoid that, which I think makes us feel good, but it may not be the best thing for our economy as a whole. So I'm now somehow drew the short straw, and I'm the chairman of the Consumer Protection Committee. We'll be meeting out in Oregon to review some of the early information. But again, I'm trying to keep the 50 attorneys general from, let's say, overreacting and doing things which may have unforeseen consequences in what everybody recognizes as a very shaky market, if not teetering market. So we don't want to help facilitate things that would be more problematic than helpful. Other things, I've had to speak the last 2 or 3 days on our very well-known lawsuit down in Florida that deals with the Health Care Act. I'm leave from here later today and go over to Northern Kentucky University Law School, where there's yet another one of many debates dealing with the constitutionality of the new Health Care Act. I usually tell people that the role of the Attorney General is not to vote yes or no. Everybody recognizes the need for some changes in our health care policies and the structure of our insurance. But as the Attorney General, nobody in Indiana elected me just to trust the federal government. So before we launch in on a whole new world of the federal government's authority to require people to purchase a commercial product and to tax in the form of a penalty, you don't mind if I ask the Supreme Court whether they agree that that's within the limited power of the federal government under the Constitution. So again, I'll be over there debating that later today. Luckily, the court down in Florida ruled that the federal government's motion to dismiss was overruled, so we'll be hearing it on the merits. I don't have nearly as much of the debate about whether the case is frivolous anymore. At the very beginning, it was claimed that it was frivolous and it was all political. I'll admit that the appearance of anything coming out of Washington already has a very political nature, so when you get thrown the political football, people will accuse you of playing politics, but I can assure you I think it's really within my role as the state's Attorney General to ask the courts whether the federal government has the authority they claim. I'm the only one that can do that, and also some of the infringement of state sovereignty is something I take very much as my role. So again, I think those are things that you'll probably read about. But let me switch a couple of other quick topics. I mentioned to a few people that I'm also on the eHealth Alliance. The National Governors Association has created a group that includes 2 attorneys general, and we work very closely with the federal government and each of our respective areas. So I've been bringing groups to the National Association of Attorneys General to talk about some of the things dealing with the health information exchanges, things that you all may be familiar with. But in Indiana, we have a very strong system already. We're one of the leading states in this whole digital information exchange of healthcare records, somewhat even before the federal government started to provide states with large grant funds, which will speed up the process remarkably. But again, I've got a fairly extensive relationship in that area as well. But the one thing that I came to speak about, and I'll give a little history, in the whole area of privacy and battling internet fraud and identity theft. In Indiana, since I worked in the office now, next year will be my 10th year in the Office of the Attorney General, Hoosiers probably have, I think, a higher level expectation of privacy in an era where it seems that no one has a sense of privacy, especially among the young. But the expectation of privacy is still something that's very well cherished in Indiana. And I give as Exhibit A in that statement our Telephone Privacy Act that dates back to 2004. Indiana has what I like to say is the strongest Telephone Privacy Act that deals particularly in the area of do not call. People that are Hoosiers can tell you that we have a remarkably low incident of unsolicited telephone sales calls. We had a complete ban, other than just a few minor exceptions for not-for-profits, and of course Ball State can call and ask you for a contribution still, so that's still allowed. But we don't have the so-called, the federal do not call statute has the current business relationship exception, which means that every time you hand somebody your credit card, you've given them essentially license to call you for the next 18 months. Well, in Indiana, we don't allow that, so We have a remarkably low incident of